All right, let's talk about Japan's political scene. For a long time, it's been pretty quiet, but suddenly someone's decided to hit the gas. We're talking about a high-speed shakeup that could change the country's direction entirely. So, yeah, you might want to buckle up for this one. For years, Japanese politics has kind of had this reputation for being a very stable, maybe even a little slow-moving luxury sedan, just cruising along. But now, a brand new, super ambitious driver is grabbing the wheel, and she wants to take the country from a steady cruise to absolute full throttle. So, who exactly is this driver trying to take control of the world's fourth largest economy? Well, her name is Sanaya Takaichi, and trust me, she is shaking things up in a big, big way. And here she is. This is Sanae Takaichi. She's a 64-year-old political veteran, but on the campaign trails, she's been a total force of nature. We're talking about someone who electrified audiences, turning these standard, kind of boring political rallies into must-see events. She basically became a social media star overnight. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Her profile just sets her so far apart from everyone else. I mean, her ambition isn't just to move up the ranks, she wants to be Japan's first ever female prime minister. Her campaign style? Totally untraditional. She zips around on a scooter and blasts her message from this souped-up Kawasaki van. She's the daughter of a carmaker and a police officer, and get this, she was a huge heavy metal fan in college. This is definitely not your typical establishment politician. Of course, every great driver needs a powerful car and a clear track ahead, right? So what kind of political machine is Miss Takaichi working with? Let's check out the conditions for her party, the Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP as you'll hear it called. And wow, just look at this. This chart pretty much says it all. The LDP and its partners didn't just squeak out a win in the last election. They absolutely lapped the competition. They secured this massive, commanding majority in the lower house of parliament. So let's focus on this number for a second. 316. That's how many seats they won. A supermajority like this is the political equivalent of a wide-open highway with no speed limit. It gives them more than enough horsepower to push through a really ambitious, high-speed agenda without getting stuck in any legislative traffic. Right, so with a supermajority and a clear track ahead, what's her game plan? How does she actually plan to drive this thing? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the spec sheet for her political engine. Her core philosophy is being called Abenomics Plus. Now, if you remember, that's a nod to her mentor, former Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, whose Abenomics used massive stimulus to try and jolt Japan's economy out of stagnation. Takaichi's version, it's like adding nitrous oxide to that engine. She's convinced that now is the time to spend big and cut taxes to really open things up. And this table here breaks down her strategy perfectly. On the economy, it's pedal to the metal. She wants to pause the sales tax for 2 whole years. For defense, she's revving the engine, looking to boost military spending as things get more tense in the region. And then there's the big one. She wants to chart a whole new course by revising the country's post-war pacifist constitution. But as any race car driver will tell you, going full throttle is incredibly risky. The track ahead for Ms. Takaichi isn't some simple oval. No, it is filled with speed bumps, hazards, and some seriously sharp turns. So, what's the first major speed bump? Good old economic reality. Her plan to pause the sales tax for 2 years without taking on more government debt, well, it's been met with a lot of skepticism. As one former Bank of Japan board member put it, pulling that off would be nothing short of a magic trick. Critics are basically saying the numbers just don't add up. And it's not just about the money. She also has to navigate some tricky diplomatic hairpins. Her really strong nationalist stance could definitely create friction with neighbors like China and South Korea. At the same time, she's facing potential roadblocks from her own pit crew, the LDP's old guard, who have always valued stability and cautious moves over, radical high-speed maneuvers. So, here we are, heading into the final lap. With such a bold agenda and so many risks, what are the chances she actually makes it to the finish line and takes that checkered flag? The pressure is just absolutely immense. She's generated this huge public excitement, and with that comes sky-high expectations. As one former LDP lawmaker put it pretty bluntly, if she fails to deliver on these huge promises, she's going to hit a wall. I mean, the political consequences of failure here could be really, really severe. So here's the takeaway. After years of steady, predictable driving, Japan's political race has a new, aggressive driver at the helm, and she's promising speed and bold maneuvers. But the question all this leaves us with is a really big one. Is her full throttle approach the kind of masterful driving Japan needs to win on the world stage, or is she steering the nation towards a truly spectacular spin-out?